Shalom and welcome to this edition of Revealing the Truth, where we cover the headlines, the heartlines, and biblical truth. I'm your host, the Reverend Rabbi Eric Walker, and we're visiting with Chris Massoglia, male lead in the upcoming release of a movie called Because of Gracia. Chris, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We're glad to have you. We're going to take a minute and watch a trailer of Because of Gracia and then get into this discussion with you as to who you are and what this film is about.
I'm Chase Morgan, and my senior year of high school starts today. I've heard some people actually thrive in high school. It ain't happening with me.
Class, I'd like to introduce you to Gracia Davis.
My name's Gracia, but please call me Grace.
She's got more friends in 3 weeks than we've got in 3 years. I'm thinking about asking her out.
Hello? Hello? I can hear you breathing. Chase, is this you?
Gosh, this is hard.
I might be too forward, but, do you want to meet up?
I'm not very experienced at this.
What?
Dating.
I want you to think of me as a friend you haven't met yet. My heart's just kind of hurting for somebody right now.
Where is this going?
I mean, I don't know. I'm having fun. Aren't you having fun?
I honestly don't know what to do.
Just because something seems so improbable, you immediately assume that it had to come from some higher power.
What about open-minded dialogue? What about the pursuit of truth?
Farther along, know all about.
Sorry.
Farther along,
Right? Sit down. Now!
understand why.
I've got so much to apologize for, I don't even know where to begin.
So cheer up, my brother.
Seems some people in the school had more freedom than others, and that's just not right.
I'm not perfect.
You know what I see?
You don't have a clue about who I am.
But that's just the way it is, right? We all gotta live life. We all live and die. No day is different than this night. We all die under starlight. And it doesn't matter what you fight. And that's just the way it is, right? And that's just the way it is, right?
Grace Chase, that's freaky. This could be destiny.
Well, welcome back to Revealing the Truth. We're visiting with the male lead in the film Because of Gracia, Chris Massoglia. Chris started acting at age 10 and has worked with some of Hollywood's finest actors and Academy Award winners. Coming off an acting hiatus, Chris's newest film, Because of Gracia, finds him playing the love interest of Gracia Davis, played by singer Mariah Peters. Chris's television credits include guest starring on NBC's Law and Order, CI, as well as series regular roles on shows including TNT's Wanted, TBS's Boys Life, NBC's Medical Investigations. In his spare time, Chris loves traveling, spending time with family and friends, as well as investing in young people through his church and other youth organizations. He recently made 5 trips to Israel in the past 4 years to advocate for peace in the Middle East. Chris Massoglia, welcome back to the program. Now,
Thank you.
You know, you started acting at age 10. How did you get discovered?
Well, I grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I was actually homeschooled. So my mom had enrolled us in a homeschooled dance program. And so for the program, we did tap dance, ballet, hip hop, all these kind of different styles. And it actually was with some people who had been on Broadway. And so kind of at the end of the program, we all just did like a little show together. And at that show, there was a lady, and she was like, "Hey, you're a cute little kid. Why don't you come audition for my show?" And I was like, "Sure, I'll do it." And so anyway, I ended up kind of getting an agent in Minneapolis. And then through that, I got an audition for a Nicole Kidman movie when I was like 11. They were doing a big national search for kind of this next child star to act with Nicole Kidman. in the late 90s there. And so I ended up auditioning, ended up getting it. They flew me to New York, wanted me to read with Nicole Kidman, and I ended up not doing the film just because of content. My parents didn't really want me to do it, but so that's kind of how I broke in. After I did that audition, everyone in New York was like, "Oh my gosh, like who's this kid?" And all these agents wanted to sign me, and so from there, my first job was on Law and Order in New York, and then I went out to LA and just kind of kept auditioning, and got some roles. So,
what kept you from getting Biebered?
What kept me from getting Biebered? What does that mean?
Well, going
I don't
off,
have a good singing voice. So.
Yeah, going off the deep end, believing your own press, acting out.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think one thing that's always been really nice for me is I've always lived in Minneapolis. I never really fully made the transition out to LA. I would kind of go out and live out there for what's called pilot season, when they cast for all the new pilots, the TV pilots. They do like a couple months of casting, and it's really busy for actors. So I would go and live out in LA for a couple months, but I never really fully kind of moved out there totally. So I was always really rooted and connected with just awesome friends, church, just community, and kind of like people to do life with in Minneapolis. And not that I wouldn't have been able to find that in LA, but I think that personally for me really, kind of helped me stay grounded in who I was. So
now, this was your first film in 7 years. What did you do in that 7-year hiatus?
Yeah, so my last film, was when I was like 19. I actually did one film before because of Gracia, but it was a pretty small part. But yeah, during kind of my time off, I was kind of exploring colleges. I went to art school, I went to business school, I went to Bible school. I was just kind of trying to, kind of feel out like if I wanted to go to college, get a degree, kind of like what, my life would be like kind of beyond or outside of acting. And so I took some time off and kind of focused on some other areas of life. And it was a really healthy, developing time for me. So I'm really, really glad that happened.
Now, during that time, you made a number of trips to Israel. What was what was your first real clarion call to make the trip to Israel?
The first trip to Israel was kind of just because some of my friends were going and my church was going, and I thought it would be cool to travel overseas, to the Middle East. I'd traveled with, film and stuff. I'd been to Japan and Europe and, Africa, so some different cultures, but I'd never been to the Middle East. And so I was like, okay, yeah, like this is awesome. Like I kind of want to go. And when I was there, it was just such an amazing experience. I felt like God really kind of just put something really special in my heart for Israel and the Middle East and just the people that live there, and kind of just like just this desire to really pray to see the Lord really move in Israel, because I had been a part of a lot of church different things where it's like, we always want God to bless America, all these kind of things. And when I went to Israel, all of a sudden it was like, even when I was reading the word and stuff, it's like the scriptures were just kind of illuminated of like, man, God wants to do something in Israel and like in his people and in the people there. And so for me, it was just kind of like when I went that first time, it was just kind of like, bam, my heart just, kind of got lit. And I've gone back every year since 2012. So
That's great. Now, do you do touring, or are you meeting with people in the government? Are you meeting with some of the Knesset members?
I've done a couple different trips. So I've gone with my church the majority of the time, and then I've done a couple kind of like promo trips. I don't know how to explain it, but like I think Israel, because they kind of want to have people come and experience Israel, and so I went as part of I went once as like kind of like part of like an influencer group for like musician, actors, people like Instagram celebrities or whatever, and then the goal was for them to be able to see Israel, and then kind of like, especially with young people, kind of like reach out to young people and say, hey, this is actually what's going on in Israel. So I've done that. I've gone with my church. I go for like prayer conferences. So we'll do like a tour. We'll meet with different people from like the government or different like leaders from congregations in Israel, whether they're Arab or Messianic Jews or whatever, and then we'll like pray for them and just kind of support them and just pray for peace, because there actually is a lot of peace that's happening within people in Israel who believe in Jesus as Messiah, but obviously that just doesn't really get talked a lot about. Right. So just kind of trying to support them and be there for them, and we go on different tours and visit different people and help out in their congregations and all that. So
sure, you've met some of my very good friends while you were in
probably
Israel.
Yeah.
So that's the circles that I run in Israel. So
awesome.
It's a very small world when you get to Israel and the Jewish believers there. I'm there every year, and I've been there every year for the last almost 16 years. So,
oh, wow. That's awesome.
And for the last 10 years, I brought groups from Birmingham.
Okay.
We've got a trip coming up in June of 2018 and May of 2019 already booked.
Great.
With my guide, Edo Canaan, who is by far the best guide in all of Israel. I don't know if you met Edo while you were there, but
nope.
If you did, you would remember it forever. It would be life-changing.
Awesome.
This project, because of Gracia, is kind of an interesting project. Why this project to bring you out of your hiatus?
Well, it kind of just it fell in my lap. I wasn't really doing auditions. I was doing some self-tapes that my manager would send me, but I wasn't actively really pursuing a career in acting or trying to do all these auditions or going out to LA. I hadn't been out to LA since 2011. And so it was actually my pastor, he was watching God's Not Dead, and he saw God's Not Dead, and he was like, man, it'd be so cool if Chris could do a movie like this, And I was kind of like, yeah, I guess that'd be kind of cool. Like, I didn't really know how I felt about it.
Right.
And then 3 days later, I get this email, and it says, request for Chris Massoglia from the co-producers of God's Not Dead. And I was like, what? I was like, dang. So I was kind of like, okay, I guess I should audition for it. And so I sent a tape, and then I actually, I think shortly after that, was on a trip to Uganda. And then when I was on that trip, I found out I had gotten the role. And I was kind of just shocked because, I was kind of like not really pursuing anything. And then this awesome project just fell in my lap. So I was really blessed by it, and so it honestly wasn't even really my decision. It just kind of came to me, and I was like, yes, this is awesome. Let's do it.
What is the underlying plot of Because of Gracia?
So Because of Gracia follows a group of teenagers in their senior year of high school, and I think at its core, it really is a coming-of-age romance. There's a lot of different aspects to the film. We really hit on a lot of different things that young people deal with when they're going to high school, whether that's being able to share your views or opinions on things, or being able to stand up for what you believe in, or talk about what you think is right, or how to interact with this girl that you think is really cute, or what to do if a guy is trying to make moves on you. All these kind of things that young people, we really think a lot about, to be honest, relationships, sex, dating, what people think of us, how to be who we are in public and not just shy away from being ourselves. So the film really hits on a lot of really awesome issues for young people, and we're really excited for Because of Gracia to just really come out and offer a different perspective to especially like middle schoolers, high schoolers. I think there's so much just corrupt information and just kind of gross nastiness that gets pushed on today's young people through our culture, especially with like sex and relationships and dating. And so we're just really excited for Because of Gracia to offer a different perspective.
Now, this kind of takes you down the path of some, as you called it, faith-friendly kind of environment that causes people to consider who they are and whose they are as they traverse this decision matrix. And the movie takes you from comedy one day to the heaviness of abortion another day, and that's how life happens, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think you know, it's a really fun film because we are different from faith films. You know, we had an awesome review a couple weeks ago that the reviewer said it really would be unfair to label this a faith film because that's pretty much kind of plastering a label on there that says for Christian eyes only, you know. And so because of Gracia, it really is a really engaging film. My character Chase, I play Chase in the film, and he's kind of this quirky, kind of not really confident, unsure of himself, and he goes into these daydream sequences. So we have, I think, 3 scenes where my character's in this kind of funky, quirky daydream sequence that's totally abnormal. Like, you would never see that in another, like, faith film. And so, like you said, you know, it's there's comedy, it's just kind of fun and real. And then we don't shy away from those hard topics and those issues that young people are thinking about. Because a lot of times, I think even for me, like growing up in the church, you know, we hardly ever talked about like sex or abortion or how to do relationships or what to do if, you know, you like a girl and you guys start hanging out and maybe some physicality starts happening. It's like, you know, that was just never really addressed. And so I think that in general, I think that young people really respond to just the realness and kind of that raw aspect of our film.
Now, on a personal note, you are very much committed to purity. You're very much committed to saving your first real kiss for the one who God reveals to you as the one. How does that carry into a role? How do you bring morality and purity and faith even into a faith-friendly film? But you know, the integrity of a character shines through. It takes a real actor to be contrary to his real nature. That there's a certain, you know, having a strong believer play Satan in a movie is that dynamic character stretch. It can be done, but it's so vexing, it's so difficult, it's so offensive, it's so hard that you find that they're not really keen on doing that or stepping into that kind of darkness. How did that play for you in this movie? Did you have to have a movie kiss?
Yeah, so we did have a kiss in the film in the context of marriage. There was other kissing too with not my character, but kind of another couple that the film is kind of following. For me, you know, it is always interesting kind of getting into character, and, you know, you're exactly right. I think sometimes as, you know, people who have certain values or like a moral compass, I think that there's definitely certain roles that as an actor I wouldn't be able to do or, you know, even audition for, to be honest. Sometimes I just am like, yeah, I can't really go out for that one. But this film was pretty easy for me because it was the first time I ever really got to play or act as a Christian. So that was really unique because I never really played a Christian character in any other project. So it was really cool because even though I don't necessarily feel like Chase, my character, is totally identical or the exact same as Chris Massoglia, even just the fact that I was playing a Christian, you know, I did have somewhat of a similar moral compass to the character. That definitely made it easy, and it was an awesome experience getting to play a Christian role.
How long did it take you to shoot the film? You know, most people have this glamorous view of filmmaking, and filmmaking can be incredibly tedious. repetitive, many takes of the same scene over and over and over again until the director is satisfied with what he wants. It's not just a matter of getting up there and saying it and then taking off into your 40-foot wide mobile home that people are fanning you and peeling grapes.
Yes, that would be nice.
But what's the reality of it so that people can kind of take a glimpse behind the scenes?
Yeah, it's a lot of work. And I think a lot of people don't realize that there are so many people that it takes to make an awesome film. I mean, there's so many crew members who work so hard, and at the end of the day, you know, they deserve just as much credit as the people that you see on the screen, which is kind of tricky because as an actor, everyone, you know, they think it's so cool, like, oh, you're an actor, you're in the movie. And it's like, yeah, but without that awesome guy who ran the Steadicam and had it on his back for 8 hours straight, running up and down the steps, it's like the movie wouldn't be anything without that dude, you know. And the Steadicam operator, he doesn't get any, you know, Academy Awards for best Steadicam or anything like that. So it really does, like you're saying, it's a lot different than people think. Because of Gracia, it was really cool in that it went really smoothly. We had a schedule, and we were scheduled to film the entire project in, I think, like 28 days. And I've worked on movie sets before where we've shot for 4.5 months. And so actually initially when I got the schedule, I was like, no, they're going to shoot it all in 30 days. I was like, this is going to be terrible. They're going to work us like 16 hours. You know, this is just going to be crazy. But it actually ended up being super awesome. We got everything done, you know, on schedule, and we never went over a 12-hour day. The crew just was awesome, and everything went smoothly. So this project was really fun in that sense of, like, it wasn't like stressful or it didn't burn you out. It wasn't too taxing, you know, getting into character every day and working long days. Like it was pretty smooth. So props to, you know, our line producer Lisa and the director Tom and the first AD Joel and just the whole crew that kind of managed everything. So it was a really well run set.
What was your relationship with Mariah Peters? How did that kick off? You two met each other for the first time on the set?
Yep. Yeah, we met each other. We filmed in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So we met each other down in Baton Rouge a couple days before, and we're just kind of reading through the roles and the lines and all that stuff. And I was just blown away by Mariah. She did such an awesome job in the film. She's actually won, I think, 2 awards at different film festivals for Best Actress, and because of Gracia. And it's her first film ever. So I think that really says something about her abilities as an actress. And everyone who watches the film is like, yes, like the acting is awesome. Again, I think there's kind of the stigma of like, oh, faith-friendly or faith-based or whatever can sometimes have cheesy acting or whatever. And I'm really excited because Mariah just did an awesome job, and all the other actors that were in the main roles just gave stellar performances. So that's something that I'm personally really excited about.
Well, we've been talking with Chris Massoglia, male lead actor in the to be released on September 15th in theaters, the film Because of Gracia. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to watch another trailer from the film and dig into more of Chris's background, his experience, his insights, and how he brought this Christian character to life in a faith-friendly film. We'll be right back. Shalom. I'm the Reverend Rabbi Eric Walker, Executive Director of Igniting a Nation and host of the daily TV program Revealing the Truth, seen live every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Standard Time at www.ianbn.com, and then replayed throughout the day and night via our website. All of our segments can be seen on the Igniting a Nation YouTube channel. Since our launch in January of this year, we've expanded our global reach to over 54 countries with a social media following of over 125,000. Our commitment is to bring you the most in-depth interviews with authors, subject matter experts, and thought leaders from around the world. We have interviewed guests from Israel, Brazil, England, India, and all across North America. All of our authors are featured on the Books and Media page on our website, www.ianbn.com. There you can find a direct link to the book you want to order, and we receive a small commission directly from Amazon. There is no cost to you for this service. In addition to our daily teachings and interviews, we make available to you the archive of all of the interviews on our YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram channels. Our live program is available from our homepage, and there is never a charge to you for any of this access. We made the decision long ago that we would remain a commercial-free resource that would not be influenced by any pressure from any outside company. There are only two ways that we are able to continue to operate this ministry and provide you with the only live 4-hour daily Christian television talk show program. The first is through your support and tax-deductible contributions to Igniting a Nation. These can be made directly through the donate button on the website or sent through the mail to Igniting a Nation, 2700 Corporate Drive, Suite 120, Birmingham, Alabama, 35242. The other way we support the program is by offering you a unique opportunity to have access to over 10 years worth of teachings on a subscription basis. The teaching archives contains all of my prior sermons, Torah studies, prophecy in the news videos, and much more for the low subscription price of $5 per month. This subscription grants you unlimited access to over 800 hours of content not available elsewhere and is updated weekly with the most current prophecy classes. In addition to 20 hours of original TV programming each weekday, we invite you to join us live every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday evenings for our Prophecy in the News classes. The times and locations are listed on our events page on the website www.ianbn.com. Every day, you and I are faced with the challenge of where we will go to hear the truth. We are committed to bring you the only program of its kind that covers the headlines, the heartlines, and biblical truth. We cannot do this without your support. Since we launched on January 5th, 2017, we have aired over 300 individual teachings, interviews, and commentaries not available anywhere else. We are now working side by side with almost every major Christian publishing house to bring you the most in-depth feature interviews possible. Our 1-hour features address every subject that affects the believer's life. We are hearing of salvations from the Middle East, Africa, and all across the United States. Lives are being changed every day, and we have only just begun. Our mission is to become your trusted resource and grant you access to the people, tools, and information you need to grow in your relationship with the Lord. You can help us by liking us on social media and through your financial support. We know you have many choices in who you support, but we are prayerfully asking you to consider helping us keep revealing the truth, true to our calling, to cover the headlines, the heartlines, and biblical truth like no other program available. Donate today and help us bring the message to the four corners of the earth. Visit www.ianbn.com and donate, buy a book, or subscribe to our teaching archives. Without you, we do not exist.
There's a 6-foot alligator in my lake. I named him Hippocrates, and I swore him an oath that he shall hurt no one.
It's weird.
I know. Have you told them?
When I was little, I thought abortion was evil. But now, I honestly don't know what to do.
You know what? You're so predictable. And now you're going to segue into intelligent design, right?
How do you think we got here?
Scientists are working on that very question as we speak.
Bobby, you have a decision to make. Now, have you thought about your options?
A girl with a new life inside of her and a wound that none can mend. But that's just the way it is, right? We all gotta live life. No day is different than this night. We all die under starlight. And that's just the way it is, right? And that's just the way it is, right?
Oh, come on, John. I compromise. You compromise. Everybody out there compromises every day. You know it.
You know, sometimes it's better off keeping your big mouth shut.
Do you believe in God?
Whoa.
Do you believe he knew you before you were born? Then we have to believe that he has a plan.
Shalom and welcome back to this edition of Revealing the Truth, where we cover the headlines, the heartlines, and biblical truth. I'm your host, the Reverend Rabbi Eric Walker, and we're talking with Chris Massoglia, who is the male lead in the film because of Gracia. Welcome back, Chris.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We just watched the second trailer of the film, and this is such a poignant story. It's real life, isn't it?
It is.
It's the pressures of social mores, the pressures of peer influences, the pressures of conforming to the world, but yet you play a Christian character in this. And how were you able to demonstrate kind of a resistance to the world as a Christian character?
Well, in the film, my character Chase, I think he's not as much trying to figure out how to resist the world as he's just kind of trying to figure out who the heck he is and trying to figure out how he can work up the confidence to actually say what he does think and what he does believe. And so I think that's where a lot of young people are at. I don't think a lot of us are like, yeah, we just need to go out and resist everything. It's more just like, man, how do I navigate this crazy thing called life, And how do I, formulate my own, views and opinions on different things? And how do I be myself and be who I am? So, obviously, I think especially as Christian young people, all of us have a pretty good idea of things that we should be doing and shouldn't be doing. But one of the, again, because of Gracia, really hits on, sex, relationships, dating. I think even though, there's kind of these basics of like, okay, yeah, we all know we're not supposed to have sex before marriage, right? Like, that's kind of the basic. But then there's so many different, like, questions and just kind of insecurities and different things that you have to navigate through that whole process of getting to know someone. And so, I think that even more than figuring out how to stand up for what you believe in, I think a lot of people are just kind of trying to figure out, hey, what do I believe in, if that makes sense. And so I think that that's kind of where Chase is at in the film. But again, because of Gracia, because of grace, Chase is really able to figure some of that out and really become who he is supposed to be and find his voice and find that confidence to be able to speak up and speak out. And kind of at the end, we see Chase does kind of step into that role of really, really sharing his faith and what he believes. And so it was really fun playing Chase. He had a good character arc from kind of where he started to where he finished. So that was a lot of fun.
In the script, were you impressed at the screenplay writer's grasp of what it means to be a young Christian in a high school setting and the home life dynamics, the school life dynamics? Did it sound like he had his own personal experience in this area?
Yeah, definitely. The writer-director, his name is Tom Symes, and he's actually a high school film teacher from Canada. This is his first feature film, and so he has a lot of real-life experiences dealing with high schoolers and their struggles. And he's raised 5 kids of his own, and so he's been through it. And yeah, when I read the script, I was like, wow, yeah, this is really relatable. This isn't like a faith film where, you'd feel like you're getting preached at as a young person, but it really is really relatable. And even my character Chase does a couple of spoken words where, we share truth in a really kind of poetic and artsy and really engaging way with the audience. And I found out later that those poems were actually written by a kid in Tom's class. So it's just, Tom really kind of brought in a lot of his experience from the classroom into the film, which I think really helps, like you said, making it relatable to this generation. So
now, Gracia is kind of a dynamic figure in this, but she has somewhat of a dark past, doesn't she?
Yeah. Gracia, played by Mariah, she did an awesome job. When she found out that she was going to play the role and she read the script and stuff, she almost thought that Tom had kind of based it like on her life. And I think that was cool because, she's the heroine and she kind of represents Grace in the film. And but no one's perfect, right? We all have our shortcomings. We all have the things in our past that we've had to walk through. And so I think that the film does a really good job of not really villainizing any character, but then even the characters that are, the protagonists, they're not perfect. So everybody can really relate to all the characters in the film.
As you were reading the script, is it you get the script at home and you read through the whole script to get the dynamic? Was there a book before this that he had written and then turned it into a screenplay, or was this just straight to screenplay?
It was actually based on a play. So Tom Symes, he's done film and theater in high school as a teacher. So he's taught these different things for a while, and it actually was based on a play called The G Factor that Tom had done. And so I remember when I first got the script, I got it emailed to me and it said, based on the play, G Factor. And so I kind of thought like this would be like a well-known play. So I Googled G Factor, the play, and it was like, I couldn't find anything on it. And I was like, this is really weird. And then I found out later it was, like a high school play up in Canada. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. So, but it's a great story. And so Tom, he had originally done the play, and then he turned it into a screenplay. And then actually they did turn it into a book as well. So after the movie comes out, people can find the book on like Amazon and different things. And the book kind of goes more in depth into like character backgrounds and all that stuff. So if people enjoy the movie, they will enjoy the book as well.
How wonderful. So when you read the screenplay that came to you and you read through it, did you have to read it before you accepted the part?
Yep, I always read the script before saying yes, just because you never know what's going to be in a script, and you have to really decide if you like it and if you think it's a good story, and obviously all the content stuff. So yeah, I read it and I thought it was pretty great. The only thing I was a little worried about was who was going to be playing the lead actress, because she really carries the film. And, again, even I kind of had this stigma of like, oh, faith films, sometimes the acting is kind of cheesy. And I was really worried about who they would be getting to play the lead actress, because if they picked someone who is terrible, then the whole movie would be horrible. But again, going back to Mariah, she just did such an awesome job and really carried the film really well. So I was really pumped when I met Mariah and when we started acting. I remember when we kind of had our first scene where it's like we could really tell, like, dang, like there's a chemistry here. Like she's a good actress. Like this is going to be a good film, because it really does hinge a lot on her performance. So,
Chris, how do you keep yourself from blurring the lines of reality, of weighing into the character, putting on this mask, this garment, this person, this persona, and not allowing yourself to actually feel the emotion you're portraying? or develop feelings for your co-star? How do you, it seems like it's an incredibly delicate balance. I know that for myself, pretty girl,
Yep.
stepping into this role, how do you not believe?
Yeah, and that was something that I was a little worried about too, to be honest. I think whenever you act in a role where you have like an emotional connection or relationship with someone, you have to be really careful, because it is, like you're saying, it's so easy to blur the lines. But I remember when I found out Mariah was going to be the lead, I Googled her, of course, first thing you do, and saw her Wikipedia and all that, and said married to Joel Smallbone, and I was like, yes. I was like, praise God, like there's not going to be any like awkwardness or like any question marks or any like, oh boy, like. And so I think that was super awesome, just because it does kind of take away the connection. And at the time I wasn't dating anyone either, so I was kind of still in that single mentality of like, okay, Lord, who do you have for me, and so it was such a blessing that she was married, and I just didn't even have to worry about it. So that was great.
So there is the reality that these on-set romances do develop. Are they real, or are they perceived because of the character?
They're perceived, but it's so easy to confuse emotions. I mean, that's why I think it's really important not to be led by your emotions. As a person, my pastor says that emotions were given to serve life, not to lead life. And so that's something I always kind of try to come back to, is like, hey, like my emotions don't lead me, like my faith leads me. Truth leads me, and my emotions kind of serve the direction that I want to go. But I mean, you see it all the time when in Hollywood, different actors, do a movie together and it's a romance, and then they end up divorcing their wives and hooking up with the person that they acted with. So, I mean, it's a very real thing. And the early church even taught that you shouldn't act, because if there's different spirits associated with the roles, you can take that on. And so that was actually a teaching in the early church, like when people were doing plays and Shakespeare and all that. So you have to be really careful with, again, kind of what roles you do, and you have to be smart. Like I won't do any like psychopath roles, just because I don't even like going there, like mentally, like thinking like, oh, I want to kill someone. It's like, heck no. Like I don't even want to audition for any of that kind of stuff, just because it is hard, because you literally are trying to program your brain to think a certain way so that it comes off as real, and then you have to reprogram and say, okay, no, that was just acting, that was just the character. So it is tricky. It is a tough balance, for sure.
In developing the character, trying to figure out the personality, is this something you consult with the director on, and he kind of gives you the flavor and the format, or is this something that you develop as you're reading the script and working on your lines and kind of given a certain amount of latitude and then take direction?
Yeah, it's a collaborative. That's the beautiful thing about film, is I think it probably is 80% as an actor what you bring to the character, because at the end of the day, it's you. People are seeing you. They're seeing your facial expressions. They're hearing your words. They're seeing your actions. So obviously, at the end of the day, it's mostly you. But as far as that development, the director speaks in a lot to it. Obviously, the screenwriter who crafted the character, and kind of the screenwriters normally have this whole big long backstory that they don't even tell you, and then it's like, oh, the character's motivation is whoa, and you're like, oh wow, that's cool, that's good to know, and also like the other actors that are acting off of you, it kind of your chemistry with the people that you are acting with, I think also has something to do with how the character comes across on the screen. So it's definitely a collaborative. And I remember a couple times, on Because of Gracia, Tom and I were really discussing the character, and I think that all good actors, I think, will kind of submit to other people's perception or ideas of who the character is, and not just be like, no, this is my choice. I'm playing this character. This is how I'm going to do it, And so Tom was really awesome because he's such a character-driven director that it's all about the characters for him. Like even the extras on set, like when you're in a classroom and you see people kind of sitting in the back and you never really get to know them, but Tom would go up to each and every one of the extras and he would kind of give them their own character, and he'd be like, okay, so you're the jock, and you just got done with football practice and you're really angry because your girlfriend won't text you back or whatever, and he would go to each of the extras and like give them this role to be playing. And I'd never seen a director do that before, so it was awesome working with Tom because he really was a story-driven director and a character-driven director, and it was just a lot of fun collaborating with him on it.
The audience for Because of Gracia, certainly the age group that you're trying to connect with in the film, high school, but the parents need to see this film to understand what some of the dynamics of their school life for their children is. I think that we've so far removed. We try to project what school was like in the 60s. That's when I went to high school, in the 60s.
Yeah.
It's nothing like that today. I hear
Totally.
these stories coming out of high school, and it's beyond my comprehension of some of the adult dynamics. We were kids. We were innocent kids that were hearing about things, but we were pretty naive.
Yep.
Kids today are not naive at all.
No. And it's because of the content that we're getting. I mean, I think like as a parent or someone who wants to know what type of content, is being pushed onto even like middle schoolers and high schoolers, it's like download Snapchat. Look at the news section of Snapchat. I mean, there's articles in there on how to know if you're doing sex the right way, with this thing, or if sex with robots is weird, or all these kind of like just crazy stuff. And it's like middle schoolers are seeing this, they're reading these articles, they're talking about this with their friends. And so you're right. I mean, I think a lot of the older generation, I don't really think has the best idea of how much these topics are on the forefront of the minds of young people. And I think sometimes it's just easier just to ignore it and be like, okay, well, they've been to church, they know that it's wrong, they know that, stuff shouldn't happen, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, it's such a part of life that I think young people are really looking for wisdom and input and answers on. And so I know that sometimes it's really hard for parents to talk about some of these things with their children just because it's awkward, or because of their own issues, or because they never really talked to their parents about it. But even just going to Because of Gracia together as a family and then talking about some of these things, and just kind of having an open door for a dialogue to be started, I think is an awesome thing. So I think parents will really appreciate seeing the film as well. We actually did some testing of the film, like with some audiences, to just kind of see what their reactions to it would be. And the demographic that would highly recommend it and push it to all their friends the most was the 13 to 25-year-old young women. We had 100% approval rating with that demographic, which was awesome because that is kind of our core demographic.
Right.
But then the second highest demographic was actually the dads, the fathers. And I think that really speaks a lot about the film, is that we really do connect with the dads, and kind of that heart in every dad to watch out for their daughters and to protect their kids, and to really see their daughters safe and covered. And so I think that's a real thing in the heart of a lot of dads, and we really hit on that in the film as well, which is cool.
the ultimate goal of the film, to get it into national release in theaters, or is it really to ultimately go to DVD to get into youth groups and churches? What's the overall vision for Because of Gracia? It's won International Christian Visual Media Best Picture, Park City International Film Festival Best Picture. The director, Tom, has won the Spirit of Capra Award at the Life Fest Films Festival. Mariah's won the Best Actress at the Life Fest Films Festival. It was official selection of the Great Lakes Christian Film Festival. Nominated for Best Director for the International Christian Film Festival. Just a number of awards, and its early stage of release.
Yeah, I think for me, the ultimate goal, if you want to say ultimate goal, is just to get the film out as wide as possible so that young people can see it and hear a different perspective. We do hit on, some intense subjects like abortion and, what to do when you have a teen pregnancy, or you're part of, as a guy, like how do you support someone who's going through a teen pregnancy? And I really believe that the film will save lives. I think that there's going to be girls who see Because of Gracia and decide not to go through with an abortion, or decide to stop sleeping with their boyfriend. And so for me, that's my heart, is I just want to see this film save lives. I want to see this film touch lives. I want to see, couples rethink, just their thoughts on dating and sex and relationships and all these kind of things that we've already been discussing. And then, practically, we're opening in, I think, 35 theaters in 30 major cities across the U.S. And so you can find the list of theaters on our website, becausefgracia.com. And we also have the option to bring the movie to your local theater. I think it's like 200 or 300 tickets. So if you have like a church group or a youth group, or you can kind of call the local youth pastors in your city to kind of rally and say, hey, like, let's go to this film. Here's what it's about. This will be a fun, Friday night activity for all the young people or whatever. So we have the option to bring it to your city, and the theater list is actually growing. I actually just got an email this morning about, I think, like 10 more cities that want the film. So like you said, we've been winning a lot of awards. Every time people see it, we've been getting great response, great reaction. It really is a good film. I've been enough kind of in the industry and been a part of enough films to kind of have a little radar of, like, when a film is really good and people are really responding to it or not. And so I'm definitely excited. I think once people kind of in these 30 city centers kind of see the film, I think more people are going to want to see it, and it's going to kind of slowly grow from there. And we've also had, like you said, it won the International Christian Film Festival Awards. We've had a lot of different countries that have shown interest, South America, Brazil, China, Malaysia, India. They've shown interest. So right now we're kind of just trying to work out some of those deals of exactly how it is going to get distribution kind of in some of those international countries. So if you think of it, say some prayers for us in that, because we really do just want to see the message get out as wide as possible. And I'm just excited because I know that the film is going to save lives, and I just want that to happen all over the world. So
and if we can get them young and teach them early about this very important issue, it'll prevent. And we may never know in the viewing of this film how many preventions. Yeah. So it's not just the choice, but it's the prevention. And for that, we're eternally grateful. We will continue to pray for Because of Gracia.
Thank you.
You can find more information about the film, the actors, the trailers, insights, background, an expanded edition of 30-minute behind the scenes. Sign up for the newsletter at becausefgracia.com. Chris Massoglia, what a pleasure it's been to meet you. Fabulous young man of God who's got a very bright future, and we look forward to visiting with you again. We wish you great success with the movie, And on your trip to Israel, say hello to my family while you're there.
Thank you.
All right. God bless.
I will.
God bless.
God bless you. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank
you. It was
you.
fun.
And that brings to a conclusion our live broadcast day, but that doesn't mean we go off the air. We broadcast 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you can share this episode of Revealing the Truth with your friends by seeing it on Facebook Live for the next 24 hours, on our Twitter feed, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. I want you to continue to share this interview with your friends and help them see that because of Gracia is such an important work and all the interviews we do. We'll be back in studio tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock Central Time as we bring you the prophecy teaching, followed by more insightful interviews with our guests. We look forward to seeing you right back here live tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Central Time from our studios in Birmingham, Alabama. Until we see you again tomorrow, we bid you shalom.